Guys, in this next story, a Gangland drive-by shooting outside the Godfather café in broad daylight led to the downfall of two drugs gangs. As the men sat in the cafe in Cheetham Hill, a Mercedes slowly stalked by, causing the group, including the men, to go outside and investigate. A family of 8 walked past before 3 to 4 shots were fired at the group of men. The group of men split, running in different directions, but 2 had been brutally hit to the legs. One suffered a serious fracture to his ankle and the other had a deep gunshot wound. Following the attack, the gunman was helped to flee the country by his brother and still remains at large. His brother, Hassan Shabir, and 4 other men were just the other day jailed for their involvement in the shooting, as well as for a raft of drug dealing offences. Manchester Crown Court heard that on the afternoon of November the 15th, 2019, a group of males was seated inside the Godfather Cafe on Copthall Lane. At around 2:30 in the afternoon, a Mercedes, which was driven by Hazar Anwar, drove slowly down the road, almost coming to stop outside the cafe. The front seat passenger was alleged to be Faizan Shabir and Daniel Ahmed was sat in the back of the car. The group who were sitting inside saw the car and left the cafe to pursue it, the prosecutor said. As they approached the car at the junction with Cheetham Hill Road, the front seat passenger pointed a pistol towards them and opened fire, causing the males to run back up Copthall Lane. 2 of the fleeing males stumbled as they were struck by live rounds fired from the gun. They sustained serious leg wounds for which they received hospital treatment. There was footage of the shooting which showed a family including 5 small children walking past the scene moments before the gunman opened fire. One witness said there was a lot of people in the area at the time and someone could easily have been seriously injured or killed during this incident. Anwar drove them from the scene and abandoned the car nearby where they all fled. They were then met by Faizan's brother, Hassan. Faizan, Hassan and Anwar took a taxi together and Ahmad got a separate taxi, the court heard. Anwar then enlisted his girlfriend, Zain Safraz, to report to the police that the car, which was hired in her name, had been stolen and she has since been convicted of perverting the course of justice. Hassan Shabir then assisted his brother by ordering a taxi away from the area, buying him food and drink whilst he hid in a house to evade capture, and then booked a flight for him to leave the country. The flight was later cancelled and Faizan left the country via a port in southern England the following day. The prosecutor said Faizan remains at large, believed to be still outside the UK. The court heard that following the shooting, each of the defendants were arrested for drug dealing together and individually. Anwar is believed to have trafficked heroin and cocaine from 2016 to 2021. Messages showed that his girlfriend Safraz was aware of his drug dealing activity and he later admitted to working under the direction of Faizan. He claimed he was paying off a drug debt but continued dealing for the money. Anwar sought to portray himself as a drug addict and denied he was Faizan's right-hand man, the prosecutor said. Ahmed's home was searched the following day, in which police found a burner phone containing flare messages where he advertised sniff flake and kept for sale. Hassan Shabir was also involved in heroin and cocaine dealing, stating that he was inspired by his brother Faizan. Shabir and Reese Hing had their own drugs line and they had both previously been released under investigation following the shooting, but months later had both dived back into dealing. Following a search of a flat in Crumpsall, officers found Shabir, who tried to throw bags of drugs out of a window, as well as numerous wraps of crack and heroin. The flat was a safe house being used to store the drugs belonging to another drug user. Hing and Mujtaba Saeed also had their own drugs line which they were operating out of a flat in Prestwich. When they were raided the flat, Hing tried to escape through a window and Saeed barricaded himself in the bedroom. Officers recovered £1,000 worth of Class A drugs and a handgun which contained Saeed's DNA. Anwar, Ahmed and Hing were said to have had no previous convictions. Shabir had previous convictions of driving offences and Saeed had previous convictions of possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, wounding and possession of a bladed article. In mitigation for Anwar, his solicitor said he was carrying out the dealing at the behest of a man who had not faced justice. In relation to the shooting, he said he was not the lead offender. The defence for Ahmed said his client was under no illusion as to the length of his sentence, adding that he was out of character and he does not try to lay blame anywhere else. And the defence for Shabir said he was concerned about a revenge attack, so he helped his brother get out of a difficult situation. And defence for Hing said he was acting under direction and took the opportunity when he should not have done so. And the defence for Saeed, who refused to attend court, said he was addicted to heroin and crack and became involved in dealing to pay off various debts. So guys, Great Manchester Police hasn't released the images of these defendants. However, the sentencing are as follows. So Hazar Anwar got jailed for 22 years and 9 months. Daniel Ahmed was jailed for 12 years and 6 months. Hassan Shabir was jailed for 9 years and 4 months. Rees Hing was jailed for 6 years. Mujtaba Saeed was jailed for 7 years. Zain Safraz previously received a suspended sentence, and Faizan Shabir still remains at large. And in another news story, 6 men who were parts of a crime gang that flooded Cheshire with drugs valued at up to £750,000 have been put behind bars for a combined total of more than 33 years. The 11-strong group, which featured the infamous former fugitive Daley Smith, played their part in bringing between £459,000 and £742,000 worth of cocaine, heroin and crack into Crewe and the surrounding areas from Liverpool over a 13-month period between October 2021 and November 2022. During a search of a car linked to Smith, officers discovered more than £15,000 worth of drugs hidden in a crisp packet. 5 gang members, including the ringleader Merlod Stennant, were jailed back in July for a total of more than 45 years, and now the remaining 6 have been sentenced as part of Cheshire Constabulary's Operation Attachment, an investigation into Class A drugs conspiracy led by an organised crime gang in Crewe. So the group were jailed at Chester Crown Court between August the 10th and 17th and pleaded guilty to conspiracy to supply cocaine and heroin, and they were Jake Floyd, got 7 years, Daley Smith got 6 years, Robbie Hart got 6 years, Alexander Sinclair got 5 years and 10 months, Shadat Kagulo got 5 years and 6 months, and Aaron Dodd got 3 years. The court was told that Floyd had been given a deputy role in the conspiracy, helping to orchestrate the movements and supply of large amounts of Class A drugs. He was also responsible for the storage of drugs and criminal proceeds. On the 3rd of June last year, Floyd was stopped and searched by police at Bridgemere Garden Centre in Nantwich, having been witnessed acting suspiciously. Partway through the search, Floyd fled and discarded a bag that was found to contain heroin and crack, as well as more than £5,000 in cash. He was arrested and released under investigation. Floyd's address was searched on June the 13th, where a further £5,000 plus worth of cash was seized, along with 126 grams of drugs valued at around £17,000. Floyd was then arrested again and charged with drug supply offences and sentenced to 5 years under standalone offences forming part of the overall case. This is inclusive of his total 7-year sentence. Further down the hierarchy was Smith, Dodd and Hart, who all assumed roles as couriers and street-level dealers. Between November 21 and February 22, officers identified Hart as a regular courier travelling to Liverpool to collect Class A drugs, and he then delivered back to Crewe to be divided among the gang. February the 2nd last year, surveillance officers from Cheshire Police observed Hart, Dodd and Smith travelling around Crewe together in a van where they supplied drugs to numerous users. As a result of the observations, police stopped the van, arresting all 3 men. Hart was found in possession of crack cocaine and heroin valued at £400 and a quantity of cash. While they were in police custody, officers seized a car from Smith's property, which was attributed to a Vauxhall insignia found in Church Lawton in Cheshire. During a search of that vehicle, police seized a crisp bag containing crack cocaine and heroin valued at around £15,000. Sinclair and Kagolo were established to have been conducting the cocaine supply operation within Crewe, Sandbach and surrounding areas, and they communicated with other members to assist in obtaining Class A drugs from Liverpool. Detective Inspector Nick Henderson of the Serious and Organised Crime Unit said these latest sentences are a great result, added to the 45 years collectively handed down to further organised crime gang members last month. This brings the total sentences part of the operation to more than 78 years. So guys, these are a number of stories coming out from the streets of the UK. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.